So we have the full spoilers for chapter 29 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, and a lot is happening, mainly a lot of action. But we also have the big reveal of Boruto's Jougan or Byakugan, which we're going to get into, but let's start from the top. So the person on the cover is Boruto himself with his Karma Seal active, and the title appears to be Pest Control. Now there's also some text behind him as well, and based on these translations it says, charge into battle, become superhuman. Now the first one says, Boruto and Momoshiki's conversation continues. Can Momoshiki see through Boruto's potential force? Now, by the way, this spoiler drop is kinda weird because it seems like they're using rhetorical language to explain what's happening in the chapter, which is the first time I've ever seen them do that. I'm not sure why they're doing that. They can just, tell us what's happening. But the good thing is that we have the convo itself, so I'm just gonna read that convo to you guys so you can get the full context. So the side text says, a negotiation has been proposed. Will Momoshiki lend him his powers? So Momoshiki first says, are you really saying you'll give me your body? Boruto says, that's right. Only if you defeat Jura. No takebacks. Even if I don't say it, you understand, right? How serious I am, that is. Momoshiki then says, it is rather annoying, but our thoughts are linked after all. We can see straight through everything. No lies or withholdings can be kept. But after I've rid this world of the Shinju, Kawaki will come and kill me, is that it? And he then laughs and says, I won't let that happen, you conniving bastard. Once I'm free, I'll finish off Kawaki first. Boruto then says, make yourself clear. Do we have a deal? Will you work with me or not? Momoshiki then looks at him and then forces Boruto to activate the Karma Seal and says, I don't even need to consider. If it allows us to root up our enemies even 1 second sooner, use the karma, or whatever else you'd like. And that's when we skip back to the fight with Boruto versus Mamushi, and Boruto has the Karma Seal active. So there's a few takeaways from this. For one, there is the mental link that I referenced in the prior spoiler video, which is very interesting. I'm glad that we're finally going back to that plot point. But yeah, their brainwaves are linked to some extent, so they should be able to tell when the other person is lying or if they're trying to, withhold some information. This implies that Boruto's plan is very simple, or that Boruto has found some way to hide info from Momoshiki without him knowing. Because Momoshiki is aware of the possibility of Kawaki killing him the moment he gets rid of Jura, but he doesn't care. It seems like he feels as if he can kill Kawaki before that happens. But if Momoshiki feels that he can kill Kawaki, Boruto should know that as well. But it's also the case that if Boruto doesn't believe that Momoshiki can kill Kawaki, then Momoshiki should also know that as well. So either Momoshiki is incompetent and can't sense the difference between his and Kawaki's power levels, or maybe Boruto has some secret plan that will help Kawaki to defeat him, and Momoshiki is currently stronger than Kawaki. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now the next one says, Boruto keeps up the fight with Mamushi and uses another Rasengan variant, and this might lead you to believe that Boruto is using a new Rasengan, but it didn't say a new Rasengan, it said another Rasengan. And based on the panel, it appears to just be a normal Rasengan, although you could argue that it's a wind release Rasengan similar to Konohamaru's, but we'll see when the chapter fully drops. But yeah, Boruto pretty much goes on to decimate the clones, and if you want to visualize it, just reference the fight in chapter 1 that he had with the Clawgrimes. It's pretty much the same thing. Now Shikamaru then tells him that there are more clones in the alleyway behind him, and that's when Boruto goes on to activate this eye. And I say this eye because some people believe it's the Jougan, some people believe it's the Byakugan, but based on the size of the pupil and some other artistic choices as it relates to what's inside the pupil, it's pretty clear that it isn't the Jougan from chapter 1. Although, some people believe that that also isn't the Jougan, but let's put that to the side. These aren't the same dojutsus, which is just outright confirmed in this chapter because the kanji literally translates to Byakugan. So yeah, some people are going to use this to say that the Jougan is filler, which I think is a silly idea. If they ever did that, it could just be the case that Boruto is using the Byakugan now and then he's going to get the Jougan later on. that could also be the case. We just have to wait and see. Also, this confirms my long-running theory that Boruto did have Momoshiki's Byakugan, and that is why he kept his eye closed. Because obviously, using Momoshiki's Byakugan is akin to using the Karma Seal. They both trigger his power, which would go against the idea of suppressing him. But now that they have this deal, he doesn't have to worry and he can use it freely, which is what happens in this chapter. But yeah, Boruto then uses it to land his shurikens from a very long distance and then teleport to the Mamushi clones and proceeds to decimate them. This time casually using a giant Rasengan that goes on to kill 3 Mamushi clones in one swoop. Also, Boruto is able to deactivate the Karma Seal after this, which shows that he is in full control. We then skip to Mamushi in a different section of the village, and it says Mamushi disregards Boruto for Ada, but Kawaki ambushes him in the forest. Heads go flying, eyes are stabbed out, but will more clones really help Mamushi triumph over Konoha? And this to some extent surmises what happens in this battle with Kawaki, because he's using the Karma Seal and he goes on to pretty much punch the heads off these Mamushi clones and easily dismantle them. So he's shown to be just way beyond them in combat power. But also, Mamushi can fly, apparently. It does seem like he's jumping towards Kawaki, but Kawaki himself says, the bug can fly. So it seems like he is flying. Now it then says back to Mitsuki's interrogation. Konohamaru grasps the situation and mentions he left something unsaid. But what could Konohamaru say to save the situation? Or will he get himself into deeper trouble? By the way, the situation he's trying to save is Mitsuki's kind of in a bind, because Kobu confronts him with the fact that the cuffs didn't fail mechanically, and someone definitely freed him. And since Mitsuki was the one who tackled him, it appears that it was Mitsuki. And he also says that Mitsuki having the code to unlock the cuffs is a bit strange, since it implies that someone of authority gave it to him. And of course, we as the audience know that that person was Shikamaru. So he is putting things together here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that this page that we got the other day is in fact Kawaki aura farming in front of Mamushi. Because of course I just mentioned that Mamushi apparently has the power to fly. So he isn't fighting some new enemy or even Jura. It is Mamushi. It then says, meanwhile Sai gets word of the Shinju infiltration. Will he get permission to free Mitsuki before the farce is discovered? Or will he side with Kobu and let things continue, thinking the current fighters are strong enough? And this of course is Felix using rhetorical language to describe what is happening. It then says that Mamushi interrupts a peaceful civilian lunch to inquire about Ada, but she's nowhere to be found. Inojin reports 50 Mamushi clones in the area. 50. Which is crazy. And as we know, he gets less intelligent the more clones he creates, and based on Koji's own statements, they just needed him to create about 20 to 30, so he's over the amount needed to take him out in one swoop. It then says that Himawari is back in action. Shikadai uses a new technique, but will they prove to be useful, or will Mamushi gain the upper hand? Oh, and by the way, as for Himawari, she's pretty much just shown kicking a Mamushi clone, and she's in the Kurama mode state that she used in chapter 10. Oh, by the way, Shikadai's new Shadow Paralysis Jutsu is net casting Shadow Paralysis, and it seems like he shoots out 4 different individual shadows that goes on to grab 4 Mamushi clones, and he's able to then pull them and slam them into the ground. So not anything really crazy, but it is very useful. And also Chocho is present as well, and she comes in and then slams the Mamushis to the ground and apparently kills them. I don't know, it isn't really shown. It then says that Inojin is excited at the way things are going, but Koji is silent and retreats into the corner. Signals otherwise. And this, just to be clear, Koji is just sitting there and he's not emoting whatsoever. He isn't happy about what's going on and he isn't sad, which implies that things could go sideways pretty soon. And this is kind of funny because Koji and his future knowledge is a very big topic in my upcoming video about future Boruto controlling what is happening in the current timeline. And that video should be out tomorrow or the day after. So hopefully you guys tune in. But yeah, the side text of the final page says, despite everyone's hard work to reduce Mamushi's numbers, Kashin Koji seems displeased. And that's where the chapter ends. So pretty much what this says is that even with Boruto having the Karma Seal, Momoshiki's Byakugan, Kawaki getting his limiters removed and seemingly receiving a separate amp from Amado, and even Himawari using her Kurama power, Inojin with his new jutsu, Shikadai with his new jutsu, like everything that is happening currently, and it still isn't enough, apparently. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. I will say that Konohamaru is in big trouble because he did try to lie and say that he didn't add the code to the cuffs that were holding Boruto, and that's why Mitsuki was able to free him. But Kubo said that he's lying. He called him out directly and then told him to summon the Hokage. So that political side is also heating up as well. So a lot is happening, and I'm really looking forward to the upcoming chapter. But yeah, that's it for this one. If you guys liked it, drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.